I'm James Lynch, and this is my stock report for UFC 315, taking a look at the biggest winners and losers from the event. And this was an obvious one. Biggest stock riser on this card, hands down, has to be Jack Della Maddalena. What a performance this was. Just even more impressive that Jack won a decision here. And what I mean by that is that, you know, going into this fight, if you would have said Jack Della Maddalena won this fight, I would have been like, oh yeah, knocked him out, right? No, he goes 5 rounds with Bilal. His takedown defense was on point. He outstruck Bilal. He looked great in every aspect of this fight. This was a huge win for Jack. He keeps doing it again. This is a guy who's not lost in the UFC yet and just continues to get better fight after fight after fight. He's now got this mega fight with him against a mega fight with Islam Makhachev next. Like, think about this. He wins the title and he's going to fight one of the best fighters in the UFC. So many big things ahead for Jack Della Maddalena winning this fight. I know it sucks we're not going to get Ilya Islam, but Jack is the big winner of the night for sure. Very, very, very good performance over Bal Muhammad. And, yeah, just for sure the number one contender on this card in terms of in terms of what he was able to do. He wins a belt. He does it in an entertaining fashion. It's a very fun fight. It's very exciting. He definitely won a lot of fans tonight. There's not much more you can say. Jack Della Maddalena, easily the biggest stock riser. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words here, guys. I'm tired. We're trying to get through this. I'm doing this right after the event, so I wanted to get this done because I got to go coach some hockey on Sunday. Okay, that's the biggest stock riser. Second biggest stock riser, we're going to go with, I'm going to jump down the card a little bit. Jasmine Jazivicius getting the first round finish over Jessica Andrade. This was very impressive. Now, obviously, Andrade has been finished before, and Jazz was favorite, minus 320 in this fight. But to go out there and finish her in a division where they're still trying to figure out kind of what's next as far as some of the contenders, Jasmine put herself in a very good position here. Just the fact that she was able to do it in the first round, really putting a statement. And, you know, the thing with Jazz, and I sort of talked about this going into the fight, you know, maybe not the best opposition that she's fought, as of late on that win streak. This was a good win. Andrade, I know she's better at 115 than 125, but to go out there and finish her in the first round, A-plus performance from Jazz. She's in that contender spot now at 125, so I think her stock definitely goes up. And similarly, another Canadian who got a big win here tonight, and I know I'm going to get some flack for saying this, guys, but Aiman Zahabi getting the win over Jose Aldo. Now, look, I know a lot of people are calling robbery and all this. I said it on my post-fight show. This fight wasn't a robbery. It was a very close fight. I mean, it was. The last round was crazy. Like, you think Aldo's getting the TKO win. Zahabi survives, then ends up on top of Aldo most of the round. Like, a lot of stuff happened in that fight, but Zahabi ends up getting it done. And, the reality is that with this win, him beating Jose Aldo, he's going to get a good opponent next in this division. I don't know what that looks like, but there's a lot of options at 135 for him now, and he's not getting any younger at 37. So similar situation to Jasmine, who's also older in the weight class. She is, 36? It's big for these older fighters in their weight classes because they're going to get big opportunities with wins like this. So Aiman Zahabi, big stock riser, whether you like it or not, he is, moving on up in the bantamweight division. So he's got to get a shout out too. So that's the top three is JDM, Jasmine, and Aiman. Okay, there's a bunch of honorable mentions because there was a lot of good performances on this card. Valentina Shevchenko has to get an honorable mention, right? Underdog. I don't think she should have been the underdog. Ends up getting it done over Manon Fiorot and gets the win. Still on the top of her game at this point. And listen, this was a close fight, but Valentina going out there and getting the win over a really dangerous opponent, someone that can actually meet her match in the striking, I thought that was very impressive. So Valentina's got to get an honorable mention. We'll see who she fights next. Is it going to be Weili Zhang or some flyweight? We'll see. Natalia Silva's got to get a mention. I didn't really love this fight, to be honest. Just wasn't the most entertaining fight, but Natalia Silva dominated Alexa Grasso. She could be getting a title shot next. We'll see. Lots of big things ahead for Natalia Silva. Absolutely looked incredible. And then you got to mention Mike Malott, again, a guy who gets a lot of flack because of that Neil Magny fight a couple fights ago, but he goes out there, he goes toe-to-toe with Charles Radke, knocks him out. Great post-fight speech talking about Canada. Mike Malott definitely has to get a mention here on UFC 315. And there's a lot of different ways you can go on this card because, again, a lot of good performances. Okay, stock droppers. This one was a little bit more difficult, but to me, the biggest stock dropper on this card is Alexa Grasso. And the reason is here's a fighter who lost her belt, and then she didn't even look competitive in the Silva fight. Like, I don't know what her game plan was. It just was not working against Silva. I just think the fact that, and I know she didn't get finished, and you can make the argument, well, other fighters got finished on this card. The reality is that Silva won every round of this fight. Like, it wasn't even close. It looked like a contender against not a contender, basically, is what we got. So to me, Grasso's the biggest stock dropper for the simple fact that she's lost 2 in a row. She's 31. She's not that old, but she's going to have to get a big win in her next fight. And I don't know how that's going to go because she's just lost decisively in her last fight. Like, to me, she looked worse in this fight than against Valentina, in my opinion. So yeah, I just think that, like, I don't really know where Grasso goes, and we're talking about a former champion. So the fact that she was a champion 2 fights ago and now she's, you know, probably fighting some up and comer says a lot about where Grasso's stock is. Okay, second biggest stock dropper, it's got to be Bal Muhammad. And this is more of an optics thing. I don't think Bilal fought a bad fight. I would have liked to see him go for more takedowns. But I think Bilal just met a better fighter than him tonight. I think that's really what it boils down to. And again, we got to remember Bilal's 36, going to be 37 in July. I think age maybe caught up to him a little bit. The reason his stock goes down is just the optics of this. He's 36. He's in maybe the toughest division right now in the UFC. It's going to be very hard for him to get back to where he was, which is fighting for a title. Didn't make a single title defense after winning the belt. That's tough, right? So I just think, like, Bilal's going to need at least 2. And you think of how long it took him to get the title shot in the first place. The fact that he loses this fight, he's in a really bad spot right now. So Bal Muhammad's stock drops just for the simple optics of where he is. I don't think he fought a terrible fight. He gave it his all. He, did his best and, didn't back down and took some really good shots from JDM. I think as far as the actual fight, he looked great. But I'm just talking about the context after the fact. It's not looking good for Bal Muhammad. And then someone I mentioned as well too, Jessica Andrade. Like, where does she go from here? She can't figure out which weight class she wants to fight in. She wins some good fights. She loses some. She's now lost 2 fights in a row. I mean, this was even worse than the Silva fight because she got finished early on. Gets a couple wins at strawweight. Does she move back down? I don't even know. But yeah, Andrade at 33. Like, where do you go from here? We're talking about a former champion as well, and she's now been, she just got finished. So never a good look there. So yeah, Andrade, my third biggest stock dropper. And just honorable mention, one I'm going to throw out here, Brad Katona. Now look, Katona was not favored to win this fight, although I do think the odds were fairly close. Yeah, he's only a slight underdog at plus 130. It's the fact he got finished. It's the first time Katona's actually been finished in his career. He might get cut for this, actually. Just because now that's back-to-back losses. He's lost 3 of 4 since coming back to the UFC. I think that was maybe one of the last fights on his contract, although I don't know how many how many fights he got in his contract after winning the Ultimate Fighter. I know back in the day he used to do 7 fights, but I don't know if they changed it. But yeah, it's just the fact he got finished. He's in Canada again. Canada's not been kind to Brad Katona. He hasn't won there in a long time. In fact, even his first UFC stint, he lost. I think that fight was in Vancouver, the one he lost to Hunter Azure. Yeah, it was. So you can't win in Canada. So yeah, Brad Katona, I don't know how much stock he had going in, but you're getting finished in the first round. Your stock certainly has to go down here. So that's something to definitely keep in mind when we're looking at that. So for all of you out there, let me know in the comment section who you think were the biggest stock droppers, biggest stock risers. Let me know. I want to hear 3, and then I want to hear your reasoning. So just to go over what I had here, biggest stock risers for me, Jack Della Maddalena, Jasmine, Aiman Zahabi. Honorable mentions go to Valentina, Natalia Silva, and Mike Malott. Biggest stock droppers, Alexa Grasso, Bal Muhammad, Jessica Andrade. Honorable mentions goes to Brad Katona. Yeah, let me know in the comments. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. My name is James Lynch. This is the Stock Report. I do this after every UFC event. Really appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.